we should tackle as Buddhists in particular. So I brought you some charts, and I'm very happy to answer questions afterwards. So I'm going to give you my first chart. There you go. So what I'm saying here is I'm trying to give you an idea of what I think the problem is, which I have no doubt you actually know. So I don't know how it is with you, but I have a voice in my head, and then this suddenly starts talking and tells me I'm just not worth anything, I'm totally useless. And that goes along with a lot of feelings, like I feel shame is something that can come up, or guilt, or, you know, just being hurt and unhappy. You can just feel worthless and a failure. You can be very sad and unhappy. You can also be very afraid and have fears. And all these things, I would assume, under not feeling well and having no self-confidence. And that is the foundation for not being able to love yourself. Because if you think you're shit, how can you have a positive view of yourself, right? So I think that's a very, very, very terrible feeling that I assume most of us have. Not all the time, but it just happens. And the funny thing, I don't know whether you noticed how irrational that feeling is. Because sometimes you wake up in the morning, you're totally happy, everything works, you do your day, everything works well, you have a good feeling, good relationship with yourself. And the next morning you wake up, your world hasn't changed, right? Your world hasn't changed, but you wake up and you feel shitty, right? And for me, that's proof that something strange is going on here, that it might not have anything to do with me. And I think as Buddhists, we are in this incredible situation to actually understand that and to do something about it. And so I wanted to have an analytical look on what's actually happening, because for me, the greatest gift I got from Buddhism is to understand the world. And if you understand the world, you know how to change it. And for me, that's up till the present day an absolute miracle and something that makes me happy every day. So that's really good news. So let's have a look at the solution, not the problem. Let's go away from the problem. You know the problem. Okay. Let's see what happens. The cause. So what is the cause of these feelings? And I wanted to, I think I can actually leave that for a second. There's not much more happening on the chat. So I wanted to bring you back to this friend. We all know this friend. And the thing with the pen in Buddhism explains emptiness. And emptiness is a very important concept, as you all know. And with the pen, it explains how things come from me, right? We all heard about this. The world is coming from me. Things are coming from me. Then we have a really great tool that Geshe-la teaches all the time, which is called the second husband. I just listened to an old teaching on the knowledge base. It's called the 8 Impossibles. He did for volunteers in Thailand once, and that's just amazing. And the second husband tells us that the people out there, the people, also are coming from us. So we know the things are coming from us, the people are coming from us. But what's also coming from us is our thoughts. I don't know whether you've heard Geshe-la say that, but he often says, you are the listener and not the talker in your brain. And that's very important, you know, to understand that. So when I hear a voice in my head telling me I'm totally useless, then what happens is a seed opens, a seed crack opens, and I get a result of how I treated other people in the past. And that's oh, that happens, right? Obviously, it's totally real when it happens. The same goes for feelings, by the way. So when I get a feeling of shame or fear, then the only thing that happens is the seed opens and I get a result. Does that mean we should tell people not to be so fussy and get on with their lives when they're feeling bad? No, it doesn't. Because these feelings are real. They're very real. You know, I don't know whether you've heard Geshe-la say, you don't think this pen is real just because it's coming from you? Well, come here, I draw a mustache in your face. You know, this thing is totally real. It comes from my seeds 100%, but it's totally real. I can write with it. It works. And the same for feelings and voices in your head. They are real. I mean, some people kill themselves because they are so overwhelmed by this voice that they want to shut it up by killing themselves. So just because it's coming from you, the feelings you have, does not mean we should trivialize them in any way. We have to understand they're very real. And remember that it must be coming from how I treated other people in the past. And we know that seeds grow. So small things I might have done end in big results. So I am not the voice inside my head. The voice inside my head is a grown result of how I treated other people in the past. That's the thing, right? And that's really cool to know. I think personally, that's just so cool to know. And I brought you 5 emergency tips that I want to share with you. I talk to a lot of people who feel bad, and those 5 tips have actually proven really useful. And so for next time this should come to you, you have an emergency bag and you can open it and you get these things out. So that's my plan, right? Okay, let's have a look at the emergency steps. I go back to my thing. Shoo-be-doo. So that's the cause, which is, it's coming from you, sorry. The emergency step number 1 is remember the pen. When you feel bad, it's almost like you need a session. You need someone who shouts, that is not you. Please remember, it is not you. It is just, you know. And for me, it's amazing to know that, because you wake up, you feel strange, and you have 2 choices. You can say, oh, I feel sad. And you can see how deficient our language is. I feel sad. And then you can take a bath in your bad feelings. You can really identify and say, yes, I feel so bad. And yes, I am just so useless. I don't think I can do anything. You can do that. It's not going to help. It's going to make things worse. Or what I suggest is you distance yourself from that feeling. You say, okay, I understand that these are seeds. Damn it. But it is not me. It is not me. It is just seeds. And when I distance myself, almost physically from this feeling, I still feel bad. by the way. The feeling doesn't go away, right? But it's easier for me to get over it quickly. So I suggest try to remember the pen and distance yourself from that seed that's opening, because this seed says something about old me. It does not say something about present me. And that's very important. And it helps a lot, right? So let's see. Right. So I sometimes tell people, clutch to the pen, just, remember your wisdom as if your life depended on it, because in a way it does. Just keep on coming back to this point. We have this knowledge. To understand this is incredible. And so go back to it. Tell your friends, when I'm in a bad mood, just show me this thing. And then get help from outside. So immediately you can do this first step. Okay, second step. Try not to do it again. I know it sounds simple, and I know it's not. But it's something that would help you a lot. Now, in a situation you feel bad, you're in a bad mood. And when you don't have a high opinion about yourself, you are not nice to other people. Because in a way you blame them. So you're grumpy, and you can be whinging, and you can, be very easily criticizing other people. And in a way, that's a very good example of a samsaric circle. Because you're feeling bad because you probably weren't nice to other people. Seeds open, and then in this situation, you're not nice to other people, which plants new seeds, which makes sure you're in a bad mood next week. So in the old scriptures, always, this point is very important. It's the lady in the second husband that doesn't shout back, who says, I'm going to the toilet. And for us, that's also important in this situation. And in a way, it's more difficult than in the second husband example. Because in the second husband example, there's someone standing there. And perhaps I understand I've created him. Here we are all alone. We are all alone with our fears and demons and bad feelings. And it's very difficult to identify those. But once you do, you try to not reinvent the cycle, right? So try not to be grumpy, try, not to criticize or say something negative to other people. Try not to blame people for your condition. If you are afraid, it's a very tricky thing. Try not to share that with other people, because you might scare other people. I know people who are very afraid, and they tell everyone how dangerous the world is. And that plants the seeds for fear with other people. And then next week, you're afraid again. So step number 2 really is important. Please try to refrain from blurbing out and sharing your bad mood with the world. Just try to keep it for yourself. Show some responsibility for the people around you and for yourself, because that's your way out for next week. Okay. Number 3. I think this is important. We know from everything that Geshe Michael teaches us that when seeds open, when a seed cracks open and creates pens and husbands and bad feelings, you cannot change it. There's no way. You cannot change the present in the present. It's not possible. For me, that's very important, because what I do, I realize I'm in a bad mood or I have a lack of self-confidence. And then on top of that, I blame myself for thinking that. And when I understand that this is just the seeds that's opening now, and I cannot do anything, I cannot stop it now, I stop fretting. I stop, blaming me even more for being negative, because that can become quite infectious, I think. Once you're into the tunnel, that can become quite infectious. So the really, really crazy advice is try to be happy that those seeds opening, because we understand that when bad seeds open, they're gone. And I don't have to see those again. That's pretty advanced. So if you find that difficult, that's okay. But you could try to remember that and just, flirt with the idea that this terrible state you're in might be something positive. The other thing I wanted to say on this is that we sometimes automatically think, when we think this is me, that I'm going to be like this tomorrow, because this is how I am. I am just depressed often. And then I believe I might be depressed tomorrow. And that tears me down even more. So how I feel today does not say anything at all about my tomorrow. As I wrote down here, the future is not a simple continuation of the past. I work on seeds. Seeds open all the time. They create my world. Now we have a bunch of bad seeds that make me believe I cannot do anything. That says nothing about me in 2 hours or tomorrow. And that also limits the power, I think, of these feelings. To remember they're coming from me, to know that I cannot stop it, and to understand this must not go on. And that helps me to not give it a lot of attention. I still feel shitty, but I don't give it the attention, and I try to do something else. It does not mean, this understanding, that the feeling will go away. It will stay. But you can feel when you do that, it gets less strong. And that's really, really useful. So there is a certain acceptance in step number 3. This is how it is. Okay, this is how it is. That's in my seed box today. Fine, then that's in my seed box today. More important than swimming in this bath of self-pity is then to say, okay, how can I change that? And obviously we have everything to do something about it. And that's point number 4. This young man is Master Shantideva. Sorry, it's an German word there. And Master Shantideva, who lived 750 around AD, was a wonderful sage who we meet a lot in the ACI courses, particularly course 10, 11, and 12. And he wrote the Bodhisattvas, the guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life. And that's a very, very beautiful book. And he is actually very popular in the West because there are a lot of famous quotes from him. And I love everything he writes. But one of my favorite quotes is, the total amount of happiness comes from making other people happy. Full stop. And it's the only thing that makes you happy. The only thing. So instead of being concerned with your negativity, you can now decide that you can find someone that you can make happy. I don't know, Alejandra, whether I said that in my last talk, but my example here is I had this amazing holiday on the Isle of Wight, which is at the South English coast. I love the Isle of Wight. It's a beautiful place. I was at my favorite beach in Ventnor with my daughter. The weather was fine, which in England is not a guarantee. And I woke up in the morning and I just felt so heavy. I nearly couldn't get any air. My whole body was heavy. And I just felt so miserable, so miserable. And we went to the beach and I remembered all these tips. And I turned around to my daughter, who also studies Buddhism, and I said, listen, as you can tell, I'm not well. Is there anything that would make you happy? And my daughter is a very wise woman. She said, yeah, I can think of something. I suggest we go the beach up and down once. And afterwards, I want some fries. And you know how it is when you're not well. That was the last thing I wanted to do. I mean, I could hardly move. I was so paralyzed by I don't know what it was. I really didn't want to do that. But my wisdom was so strong at that point. We can hear you. Okay. My wisdom at that point was so strong that I said, okay. And it was hard, I tell you. We walked the beach that way. It's not a long beach. That way. And then we walked the beach backwards. And it was hard for me. The first steps were hard for me, but I knew what I was doing. And then I went up to the, where there are the cafes, and I bought some fries. I handed it over and I tried to be happy about it. And 2 hours later, it was gone. It was just gone. I had stopped my seeds, my negative seeds, from producing this. And I am very convinced it would have taken longer had I not done this. So the thing is, yes, I cannot change how I feel now, but I can decide what to do with the time that is given to me. And yes, I don't feel like serving other people, but there's no other way. So whenever you feel this, your sheshin should shout, make someone else happy. And then you just go around and say, can I do anything for you? Just something small. Can I make you a coffee? Is there anything that would make you happy? And that plants the seeds. And that opens sooner or later. And you do have to be patient. It can take 2 hours. It can take 2 months. I'm being honest here. It can take a while, right? Because we don't know how many seeds of that kind we have. But if you want to stop it, that's the only way. And I think my example also shows that it has nothing to do with the world around you. My world at that point was perfect. But seeds just opened and I had no chance. I had no chance. So please remember Master Shantideva. He is an amazing being. And use, even when you're feeling bad, look out for opportunities to be nice to other people. Okay, now I'm going to stop this for a second. Before I come to point number 5, I wanted to make a quick excursion what generally to plant to be happy next week. And I've come up with 3 main points, and I'm going to show you the chart later. And one is around the, the 10 virtues, i.e. non-virtues. And one of the virtues that you should be careful or look out for is virtue number 6, which talks about how you speak to others. And if you speak harshly, which includes criticizing other people, blaming others, giving them a hard time, judging them, also in your mind, that plants a seed that will open in your mind as criticism, as judgment. So to be careful with judgments of other people is crucial if you want to turn that around. I think in ACI 1, course 1, there's a quote of Lord Buddha saying, "No one but me should judge another person. If you do that, you will fall." He means fall into the hells, next life. But I can surely tell you, this life, it's going to cause a lot of problems also. So please be careful. The opposite would be, just look around your world and see the miracles. Have you ever really seen what your husband is doing for you all the time? What your children are doing for you all the time? What your neighbors are doing for you all your time? Your parents, even people you hardly know. If you can see that, then you can actually tell them. And you can show gratitude and recognition. And my self-confidence was historically low when I knew about the pen. And I very systematically planted that for at least 2 years. To see, God, that's amazing. You do the kitchen all the time. It's amazing. You help me all the time. It's amazing. Thank you so much for being there all the time. Just recognize what other people are doing for you. That plants a beautiful seed. And it will open here and you say, God, you're amazing, I think you're just so cool. And then your inner voice is your friend and not someone who is your enemy and puts you down. Belonging to that is a concept from Buddhism, which is called equanimity, which is a very cool concept. You might have heard about it already. It's basically try to treat everyone around you equally. And not just treating them equally, but also loving them equally. That would be the next step. Because we believe that everyone has been your mother before, and you really want to save everyone. Everyone around you has been giving you great kindness. And so I should love them equally. Is that difficult? Hell yes. Do I love my child more than my neighbor? Yes, I do. I'm not going to change that tomorrow, but just to approach people with the feeling of we are all equal. We all want the same thing. We all want to be happy. We share this common goal. if I have the choice, I'd rather be friendly to you than say something negative about you. And you can train that. You can get into the habit of trying to see people equally. So that's called equanimity. And I think it plants great seeds. It's great seeds for self-confidence. Because it also prevents you from being judgmental. Okay, that's the first point. The second point is virtue number 8. Yay, jealousy. So what happens with jealousy? I just talked to a friend yesterday, and it dawned on me that jealousy can take an open form. Oh, these other people, they have it so much better. I also want it. It can also take a negative form, saying, look at these people, these other people. They are so great. Oh, I'm so shitty. You can use the comparison with other people to put yourself down. Yay, congratulations. And for me, that's a negative form of jealousy. And I always wondered why it was a top 10, because I don't have a big issue with it. Everyone has an issue with it. But for me, it's not the biggest thing. But what I definitely do is compare myself to other people. I see what other people are doing. And I use the comparison to put myself down. Yay. And I think the lesson here is not to compare yourself with others. Just stop doing that. There's no point. If I project someone who has everything I ever wanted, guess where that person is coming from? Duh. He's coming from me. I created this person. It must be my seeds making me see someone who is happy, healthy, rich, everything. So I can be happy about that. And I should be careful. And I have my issues. Everyone has their issues. Everyone struggles along. And I have empathy for everyone who has their particular problems, and also with myself, with my particular problems. So virtue number 8, jealousy and comparing yourself. I think if you could get out of the habit of doing that, you'd also plant wonderful seeds for self-confidence. And last but not least, I have it under virtue number 10, be a bodhisattva, like Master Shantideva asks us to, and fight your selfishness. Because I think at the core of everything is selfishness, our habit to take care of ourselves first. And interestingly enough, I just had someone call me saying, I have this recognition. I am so selfish. God, I feel so bad. I can hardly breathe. And I said, it's a good friend. So I said, don't take it personally. But that's just a very negative way of being selfish again. You were selfish in a kind of outward way before, and you continue your habit by again circling around yourself and telling yourself how selfish you are. That's not helpful. You know, being depressive is a form of being self-centered, because when you're depressed, you don't feel like serving other people. You don't even see other people. You're so concerned with your own misery. And that's a form of selfishness. So generally, if we could change our relationship to other people and see them as wish-fulfilling gems that are there, that I can serve them, I can make happy, I can give them joy and everything, if I could see them not as nuisance and burden and whatever, then you would plant seeds for total happiness. Because as Shantideva says, the total amount of happiness comes from making other people happy. So our other people are our solution. Okay, these are my 3 points. I just give them to you again. That would be this chart. I don't know whether you can actually pass this on, but that's a summary of what I just said. And it is very important to rejoice your wisdom and your good deeds whenever you do them, particularly in the evening. But you know that. Do it. So, number 5 is be patient. I think I made that point for the children's issue. These things take a while. I remember I started out with a very bad self-confidence. And I can truly say that the relationship I have with myself has totally changed. I am my friend. And the voices I hear are mainly, not always, supportive. And it takes some time. And when it's raining and hailing and hell goes loose, you cannot stand out there and do the gardening. You go for shelter. You know, take good care of yourself and wait till the storm is over, because you are a high karmic object, right? You need a long breath and some patience on this path. It's called a path, right? Not a jump. You know? And that means it will take some time. But it must work if you do these things. It will come back to you, without a doubt. If you have that patience, sturdiness, you can become your friend. And that's going to be really, really cool. Remember that when you do something, for example, you feel bad and you ask someone whether you can make them happy, that plants a seed for a habit. And habits are really cool because what we do habitually opens faster. When we have a habit of taking care of other people, when we have a habit of seeing their needs, then those seeds and their results will open faster. In the DCI language, that would be flower number 2 and the 4 priorities, just in case you know about these things, but it's all from the ACI courses. Everything I do habitually opens faster. So just 2 small steps. Even if you just say, can I do something for you? And someone says, yes, go shopping. And you say, I am not sure I can do this. Can I make you a coffee? That's okay. Because it's your wisdom that is your motivation. And if you have that, you have half the rent. Okay? Okay. I have this as a summary, but we don't need that. Really? I want to leave us some time for debate. So that's the 5-point summary. And that's my last chart. Put it away. I can see it. I think if you could get your motivation higher, that would also help. Because being happy is good for you. But if you say, I want to be happy so I can serve the world and help the world, then that would be a higher motivation. That means the seeds open faster. Okay. And that is a very, very crazy thing to do. I wanted to tell you quickly about a podium I was on recently with women healer and coaches and stuff. And everyone was asked, so what do you say? What do you recommend for people to become more happy? It was about purpose in life. And the first person said, take care of yourself. The second person says, yeah, you have to watch out for yourself. You have to take your needs seriously and finally take care of yourself. And I went like, I'm sorry, I have to say something differently. Because although you're right, I would say, take care of other people first. And that was a very provocative thing to say. And we had a wonderful debate about this. Because then they say, yeah, but I've been doing this all along. It doesn't work. I help people all the time, and I'm still frustrated. But I think we have to make the point that you're probably not really happy about helping other people. If you were, you would have to be totally happy. And the only way to get happiness is to give it to someone else. And so I think we're doing very revolutionary things by being Buddhist and by following these wonderful teachings. But it is a way that will definitely, I know from my experience, turn you into a different person. And, you know, enable you to do things that you would never have thought possible. Never, ever. And with small steps, you will get there. So if you have a high motivation and you say, I want to do this to help everyone, then you will have very fast results and you can be happy and make other people happy. And I think that's beautiful. So that would be my idea about self-love and my experience. And I would be happy to get questions or experiences from other people. Lavia. Ale.
Hi, thank you for your sharing. So almost at the beginning, you said that the future is not something like the future is not a mere I don't
Continuation
know.
Of the past.
Continuation, yes. And I'm curious about what is the logic behind it, because I think about it a lot. Like from one point of view, we know that we are constantly creating the future. So, and we also hear that anything can open at any time, right? Like good or bad, and so we should practice the best that we can. But also, there is this whole teaching about the 4 ways the seats open. And that is like a habit and someone doing the same, my surroundings, and also a bigger cycle that goes, longer. So I'm curious what is the logic behind saying that I can stop whatever thing is happening and start a new one, like just like that? And the future could be totally different from the present or the past at the same time with all the other ideas. That's what I'm curious about. Thank you.
Thank you, Flavia. So nice to see you. What I meant was that we do not understand past, present, and future well, I think. We think, oh God, because I identify with the feeling, Emma has this new thing, she calls it the plankton factor. So when our self-confidence is very low, you feel like a plankton in the sea. You're not worth anything. So when you're lost the plankton factor, right, you think that is me, which means you think that is me tomorrow. It will always be me. You deduct wrongly that who I am today is who I'm going to be tomorrow. And the point I was making is that that's wrong. If I feel shitty now, it says something about my past seeds, not about my future seeds. So by being kind to someone else now, I can change my future. I can be someone totally different. I cannot change it now, but I can plant the seeds to be happy next week. So yeah, we totally make our future by how we behave. But sometimes instead of our instincts are wrong. Geshe-la says that always. Our instincts are broken. When we feel bad, we want to spread misery. Duh, right? By spreading misery, you create your misery. And we are these crazy people. When we feel miserable, we make other people happy. And thereby we create a future where not only I am happy, I can only see happy people because I'm creating my world. You see what I mean? So that's what I meant with the future, a wrong misunderstanding of who I am and what's happening. Thank you. Does anyone want to share or has a question or an experience? You can write it in the chat also. So. Hello, Tracy.
Hello. Thank you very much for this amazing talk. And it's so important and so crucial. And I know it's amped my motivation up. So thank you. My question is, I work with a lot of people who have trauma, depressed, reoccurring thoughts, problems. They become ruminating in what's happening. And sometimes, regardless of what we say or trying to help them, they can't see any way out. And so to even try to get to motivate them to want to start helping other people feels so foreign and distant. So my question to you is, in those type of situations, in my world, helping those people one-on-one, what kind of baby steps or small little dusting ways of trying to help them to see through, to hope, to help them to kind of grasp it? Because I try and it doesn't always come through. So I'm just curious.
Cool question. Thank you, Tracy. Two answers to that. One is, you know about skillful means and the autist child that Geshe-la always talks about, and how they pushed the present into the child's hands and then pushed him into the hospital, pushed him forward to another child, pushed his arms forward and let him drop the present. And that changed that child dramatically, even though it did not understand about seeds. So just be skillful. I don't think you can be on eye level in that debate because, and you know about the story of Ken Rinpoche, when someone came up to him and said, I am so depressed. And he said, don't be. And he sent him home. And how Geshe-la said, yeah, but you can't do this. And yes, you can, because there's no point. If someone's really down, you cannot argue. So I would organize, I don't know, an event where many people come together and where suddenly you can almost plan it. Something happens and you say, oh, I'm needed somewhere else. Could you just stir this cake for me for a second? Because everyone will need the cake, and, you know, that kind of stuff. I mean, just be really skillful and tricky in tricking them into doing something for other people. And if you do that, they will plant seeds, and it will change very positively.
Thank you for that.
So try to be skillful. And then the other thing, just remember, why do I have a life where I work with these kind of people? And one is, I must have an issue with it. So by trying to be a bodhisattva, I change them also, and you can have them in your mind whenever you help other people. And you can be grateful, because if it's something that has been following you, you're in the perfect position to eradicate all depression from the world, because you are able to help someone who feels that way. So for me, that's a gift. You know, it's interesting, and it's a gift, and it's just wonderful to be spending your life with trying to get depression out of the world. So be grateful. I think it's beautiful seeds.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate that. I don't know if anybody else has a question, but one thing I would like to ask is just kind of came from what you said. It's when your window of tolerance gets slim because you're constantly in that place of doing and helping. Any suggestions? Or is it just basically what you just said and put it into practice? You know?
Well, that's an important point, and I'm really glad you're leading us here, because I think we should end on that. When I did my talk on children, I made the same point. I think it's very important to understand that we are high karmic objects, and we have a job to do. You know, our job is to turn the world into a paradise, full stop. And if I'm not happy, I can never do that. It's no point. So last week, when I said I cannot do this talk because I'm sick, I swear to you, 5 years ago, I would have done it nonetheless. Definitely. And I'm a freelance market researcher. I had this job, which financially would have really helped me. I mean, it was a good job for an Italian colleague, and it was big, and it was, God, yeah, would have been nice. And I did cancel it. I said, I feel threatened by this job because I'm so sick. And I've had this for a couple of weeks. So I said no to these things. So just by serving does not mean saying yes all the time. It's very important to understand, can I push me? Yes, I can. Let's do it and be happy. Is it crazy to teach when you're feverish? Don't do it. Don't do it. If you are tired from job, get a break. Go on holiday. You know, holiday is not bad. It's, you know, if you know, last week I felt really miserable before the talk, and I said, I'm going to go away for 4 days just to have some rest. Why? Because I want to be fit to serve the world. So you will be able to do those things when you take care of other people. Oh. Okay. And it is important to follow that and not to say yes all the time and to kill yourself and to not regard yourself as one of the living beings, of all living beings, that you're trying to save. You're one of them. And to love yourself and to recognize your capacities at any point is really crucial. So please do that. And we are middle way, remember? Yeah, we have this very small thing we're working on. So when do I take care of myself? And, you know, because you could slip like these people. You have to take care of yourself. And that's wrong, I think. Because if you do that, you're just going to be selfish. You won't have the seeds to relax. So you have to make a good, and you have to be very adult and aware of your own self to know, I can do this, I cannot do this. What's right? Oh, I'd rather help. Oh, I'd rather not. And no one can do this but you. And we have to learn to find the right balance with the motivation in mind to serve the world. And then you're going to be fine, okay? Ali, do you want to bring us home?
Wow. Thank you so much, Eva, for this amazing class. I believe everybody who is today with us is on a way like me. Thank you so much for the class and for coming back. We love you having you here. The way that you present the wisdom is so refreshing and amazing and practical. So thank you so much for doing it and taking the time to take care of yourself, to come back and teach us. So please come back again. I have a couple announcements. Thank you so much for all the donors who support us on ACI. Because of you, we can have these teachings free of charge and available for the rest of the world. So thank you so much. If you would like to become a sponsor or donor, we have a new campaign. It's called 30-30-30 Project. This is a project that we started during Medicine Buddha, where Geshe Michael promised to finish the third wheel of Lam Rim in the next 7 years. So if you would like to support us to keep these teachings, you can become a donor or you can become an ambassador. So please help us either way. We need you. And yeah, the ambassador. So next week we will have a meeting for all the ambassadors and we will explain more about this. But if you want to subscribe, please scan the QR code. And lastly, we are preparing for our last event of the year with Geshe Michael Roach, and we'll be in Kyoto, Japan. So if you haven't signed up yet, please scan the code and sign in. The event will be in Kyoto. If you cannot come, you can always register online. We have 2 tracks, pay or by donation. So please don't hesitate and register and join us. Thank you so much all for coming today. Thank you, Eva. Thank you all the volunteers and the tech team, marketing. Thank you all the bodhisattvas who are behind ACI, who make this happen. Thank you all and see you next time.